Hello and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Vanessa Baldwin. I'm a classical homeopath, a certified quantum and circadian health clinician, and I'm also an ancestral health practitioner and a Blomberg rhythmic movement trainer as well. So I help people with classical homeopathy, so using homeopathy to uproot real root causes of diseases to help you release what's no longer serving you. And I also help people with building a lifestyle that promotes health and healing, the foundation to health, which is the quantum and circadian health practices. And then I also help people with nervous system support, with rhythmic movements, and through their lifestyle approach in general, and like ancestral nutrition and seasonal local nutrition as well. So I have a lot of different avenues in how I support people. But today, I really wanted to talk with you about a really important topic that I feel called to discuss because I think that emotional suppression is one of the main root causes of diseases. And I think as a society, especially in male populations, but even myself as a female, we are programmed not only to live in the hustle culture and go, 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 which gives us no time to feel our emotions, but we're also programmed to like, oh, stop it, stop crying. You don't need to cry. Like, it's programmed in us that crying is bad or having an emotional release or having feelings is wrong or bad somehow. And I really wanted to come on here and just reframe that for you. Hopefully, if this is your thinking or your line of thinking, I want to reframe that for you. So many of us are conditioned, even like when we were kids as parents, oh, stop crying. Oh, it's fine. You don't need, like, we're always like, and I've done this to my kids too. Oh, it's fine. It's no big deal. Instead of validating the child or validating the person's experience and saying, oh man, I'm so sorry that happened. That really freaking sucks. I'm so sorry. Let me come here, let me help you, let me hug you. Like, be there with them in their suck because things suck in life and we need to be with the people in their suck. You know, like when I went through the health crisis that I went through, it freaking sucked. That was the darkest time of my life. It was chronic pain, chronic insomnia, chronic depression, and all I wanted to hear, because I would have these intense crying spells. In the material medic of homeopathy, we just basically call this, that woman is basically hysterical, hysterical crying spells. And people in my family would say, you need to stop doing this, or there's no reason for this, or you can't do this to yourself, instead of saying, instead of being with me in the suck and saying, oh man, I'm so sorry about that. This really does suck. This is really hard. You're trying so hard to fix your health. You can't get answers. Like, they needed to be with me in the suck is what I needed. And when I found people who were with me in the suck, basically, who were with me, who validated my experience, who made me feel like I wasn't lost and alone and that things can get better and just held that space for me, that was healing in itself. I just went on a tangent about being in the suck with people. So, like, when be in the suck with them when things are hard, let them know that you understand what's hard for them and validate their feelings. And I'm not a therapist. I've just done a lot of therapy. And my co-host is a therapist, so that probably helps me too. But I want to just like reframe the thinking about having feelings and whether they're bad or good. Like, we think when people get mad and they get yell and they throw things, this is bad. Of course, if you don't want to be hurting other people, but expressing anger is not really a bad thing. Expressing grief, sadness, sorrow, this is not bad. We need to allow these emotions to move through us because emotions are energy in motion, and we don't allow them to move through us. They get stuck inside our tissues and they cause disease. Suppression of emotions, grief, guilt, anger, sorrow, whatever. These things actually cause disease. So we need to allow the body to express them, to emote them, to move through us, and then we can move on. Sometimes we have a hard time even letting these feelings out or expressing these feelings. I've been through phases in my life where I've had a hard time expressing, and phases in my life where I've been really, really expressive and let everything out. I've actually been in a phase of my life where things have been a little bit hard for me to move through. Like, I'm feeling like I want to cry, but I couldn't, or I was feeling like, I had these emotions, but my body wasn't really moving through them. And I'll talk about that in a second. But I am a human being having a human experience, and I have feelings and emotions too. Like just because you're a health coach doesn't mean you're immune to any of these things, by the way. And it's healthy to have emotions and express emotions and to move through things. So I want to reframe your thinking about how emotions are bad, you know, like when you see, like I remember I posted this picture of me crying on Instagram, like this was like, I think it was 2 years ago, and I lost a ton of followers, and I was like, this is ridiculous. But it was a picture of me crying, and I wrote like something about how it's good. It's like an emotional release is good for you. And because I just had a moment and I was sitting in the parking lot, I was crying and I journaled on my phone on my notes. And I just was like, let me take a picture and share this because I felt better. Like it's a healing. The crying is the emotional release, the tears, it's a healing response. And I lost a bunch of followers. And I was like, that's so weird because I feel like they view it as, oh, she's not perfect or she's not good enough or she's not a good enough health coach because she has feelings. Like we all have feelings, right? So I was trying to give that vulnerability. And I'm still doing it. Like I don't care. I'll still continue to do this vulnerability thing with people because I think that when you hold like health coaches or homeopaths or whoever on these like higher standards and you think that then you have like these emotional upsets yourself. You're like, well, I'm failing. I'm not doing it right because they don't have these problems, right? Like, so I don't want anybody to ever feel that because I'm a human being who has issues herself too. And of course, my health is in a way better place than it was. I'm 95% better than I was, but nobody's health is perfect and nobody's emotional. We're meant to have emotions. Like it's normal. Like crying is not a bad thing. That's the point of the video. Crying is not a bad thing. Expressing anger is not a bad thing. Putting up boundaries and saying no is not a bad thing. Like these things are not bad. That's the point of the video here today. So, we don't want to, view our tears or emotion release or even our anger or our frustration, as long as we're not hurting anybody, as something bad or wrong or something that shouldn't happen. It's not a negative. We can see this. I want you to reframe it and see it as a positive, see it as something beautiful, see it as something to celebrate, something that you are moving through with grace. It's an emotional detox. An emotional detox takes just as much energy as a physical detox, or is just as important, I should say, as a physical detox. We always think of detoxing just in the physical realm, right? We're just going to detox whatever, whatever we got in our system, which I don't even, that's a whole nother conversation. But emotional detox is just as important, and emotional detox takes a lot of energy. So if you're redox, your cellular energy, your voltage is low, emotional detox is going to be hard. And maybe that's what I was experiencing prior to this because my body was having a little bit of stagnation and not moving them. And then you must, in order to heal, you have to feel. If you want to heal, you have to feel. I had a practitioner one time many, many years ago. She was knew I had a hard time feeling, I guess, in some capacity. And she was like, every time you have something going on, just put a feeling word to it. Just put a feeling word to it. Just keep putting feeling words to it. And that's a great strategy. I feel frustrated. I feel angry. I feel upset. I feel sad. I feel grief. I feel sorrow. Put a feeling word to it. Start connecting that together because your physical chronic symptoms are always connected to the mental emotional. There is always a mental emotional. These things are not separate. They are one and the same. You are an open system where everything is connected, and a lot of times the emotional symptoms are driving the physical pathology. There is a reason why you don't feel safe, of why you're not moving forward in your healing journey. The symptoms are there to protect you. The symptoms are there to, get you back on track, but they're there to protect you. They're there as a safety mechanism. Okay. So I recently took a high dose of a very deep acting constitutional remedy for myself. And there I was crying on my porch. I guess it was like 36 hours later. I'm like, well, that makes sense, right? Because here I am now pushing some emotion through, right? And think of it as a beautiful release. And I really celebrate it with hopefully more to come. So I want you to think about how you're viewing your emotions. Are you viewing them as something bad, something wrong, something that shouldn't happen? Do you see it as a sign that you're broken or too much? That's a really good one. I always used to think of myself as too much, like, oh, I'm too much of a burden. This is too much for everybody to handle. I'm so emotional, like when I was really sick. But even before that, I was I've always been kind of an emotional person. But then because I'm trying to protect others, I was stuffing it inside, right? And that's not good either. Can we see it as something beautiful, something sacred, like a sign that your body is working and the healing is in motion? Because that's the truth, right? That is the truth. Emotional detox is just as important as physical detox, and tears are one of the purest forms of release. Um, you know, and when you're on like a deep healing journey, this is gonna happen. We're gonna have these deep emotional releases. You may cry, you may grieve, you may feel. This is not a problem. This is the medicine, and when I cry, it's not because I'm broken. It's not because I'm broken, and you're certainly not broken if you cry or you get angry or frustrated or you needed to say no to something. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're not enough. It doesn't mean that you're a burden. It's because something is finally moving through you. And, you know, the system is making space and has more capacity after taking like a big remedy to actually allow that release to take place. Because when your body is, again, the voltage is low, the body's like, it's like they wants to release it, but it just can't. This is healing, and healing is not always comfortable, and it's challenging and it's hard, but it's beautiful and it's sacred. So I just want to share that with you today. Like, this is not a problem. This is a good thing. You know, I'm trying to think of anything else I want to explain to you about it. The energetic terrain is just as important as the physical terrain, right? That is the truth of it. And we need to move these emotions through, and it's something to celebrate. And we have been so conditioned to fear the emotions and to see them as a weakness, especially in men. I'm raising boys, and I can see that as they get older, it's harder for them to move these emotions through, right? But to me, tears are not a weakness. That doesn't mean we're failing or broken. And I want my kids to see me do it. I want my family to see that. And I want my kids to see my husband do that eventually. That is a goal of mine because it's not a weakness to cry. It doesn't mean you're a burden. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's just sometimes the body needs the detox of the emotions, and the tears are part of the detox. Emotional release is the movement of the stagnant energy. It's helping the energy flow again. Healing is not just physical, it's cellular, it's emotional, it's energetic. And when your body feels safe enough and supported enough, and also in rhythm with nature and all the things, the body knows what to do. It softens more, it heals, right? So, if this is something you're craving to learn more about, you can always work with me. If you got stuck stagnant emotions, if you know that your emotions are a big part of the block to your healing, you don't need more protocols for physical stuff. You need more safety, rhythm, alignment, nervous system work, circadian biology, light biology, deep homeopathic support, cellular nourishment, and emotional regulation. If you're ready to stop chasing symptoms and really start living and healing, I'm here for you. I'd love to support you. So you can always work with me in many different capacities because again, if we don't move these emotions through, they are a block to healing. Stuck, stagnant emotions are a block to healing. So you can always work with me. I'm taking new one-to-one clients. You can either choose to include homeopathy or not in that container. Um, and I work with you for 12 sessions just in 3-month coaching. Well, not just, but in 3 months coaching, we have 12 one-to-one sessions. And if you include homeopathy, you have 2 additional sessions for homeopathic sessions as well. Either way, it's super supportive. You can always continue to work with me further. You can just book in with homeopathy for me if life feels heavy and you want to feel lighter, right? Homeopathy is great for that. Helps you feel lighter. I love when a client says, I feel lighter. That is a knowing that something is being moved out emotionally, right? That was stuck, stagnant energy is being moved through you. So that's always an option to just do homeopathy. Rhythmic movements that support the nervous system is always an option. I include the rhythmic movements if you'd like in the one-to-one, containers. I have personalized healthcare plans. There is a many ways to work with me. You can go and grab my webinars, but if you really want to get to the deep root healing, The one-to-one coaching is what I would highly recommend to get to really making a cellular impact. Of course, all of my webinars will help support you, but you have to be willing and ready to do the work on your own. Whereas in coaching, you get me to support you through the process, and I know what it's like, and I've been there. So I hope that this video was helpful. I hope it reframes your thinking about emotions. And when you see a girl posting a picture of her crying on Instagram, and that was in 2023, this was that I lost those followers from that you look at that as a strength and not a weakness, that you look at that as her being vulnerable and not a failure because she cries sometimes and you look at it as a healthy emotional response and release and that it's a good thing. So I hope that's really helpful, and I really look forward to supporting you in any capacity that is. And even if that's just listening to my YouTube channel and you learning and gaining some insight about real true healing is letting emotional releases happen and moving emotions. That is a win. It's a celebration. Now, of course, if you're like when I was extremely hysterical all the time due to no sleep and chronic pain, that's a different story. What I'm talking about, what I moved through this morning was just I got back from my walk, I sat on my porch and I just sat in stillness and I had a good cry and then I felt better. That's different than being in a hysterical, way. And I needed a lot of support to get me out of that. But I'm glad I found it and it took time and it's work and it's a lot of healing that I've done, and I'm really proud of myself for doing it. Anyway, have an incredible rest of your day. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Let me know how you view what your thoughts are on this. I'm always curious to know what you guys are thinking of what I have to say. So, have a good day, and I will chat with you guys on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Share with somebody who needs to hear it.